Now we're going to mount a flying turkey. I'm doing a flying turkey and went ahead and tossed the body. But I'm going to use this as reference. They're both the same length. So I'm going to use this one's got little reference points. So I'm going to use this to drill me some legs and wing holes so I don't have to worry about fighting it later. And another thing is I'm just going to use 10 gauge for pretty much everything. As far as, except for we use 10 gauge on the wings and even use 10 gauge on the legs because he's going to be flying. So you don't have to worry about him having to stand. And the original body was a little bit bigger anyway, so I'm going to use this one. This one's a little bit more bulky anyway. So that's going to be pretty good. Actually, right there. And right there. Okay. So that's where, and let's see where the neck is going to go. Yeah, this is actually a slightly better fit size-wise. Probably about right. Yeah, probably about right in. On here it'd be right there, which is a lot farther back as opposed to right here. Pretty much if I'm ever going to use this body right now is the time to use it. So, let's see. Okay, the wings are also, the wings are back. About right. Those are just guesstimations. They're not directly on top. They're about right there. From the top, I could actually go down about right here. And about right there. That'll work. Okay, then I know how I'm going to be mounting, so I definitely want it to be, you know, actually as soft as this body is. I may go ahead and use 10 gauge wire because it would be a better fit than probably using the drill, I think. Yeah, that's super soft foam. If it was hard like this, it'd be a different story, but this is super soft. Yeah, I should be fine with this. Okay, now I know when I put the wings in, I'm going to want to put it in the least hardest way possible. So I'm going to go slight angle. See how that come out? Yeah, this is an old body, super soft foam. It's an old mold is what it is. And so at a slightward angle, upward angle. It's something I can deal with. Go ahead and go through and do that. And then do the same for the legs. Probably go in about right here. I'm going to go in from an angle, so I'm going to go that'll work for me. As soft as this foam is, I may even accidentally go in a different route than what I'm expecting to. But this side going right here. Probably even do the neck if I want to. Go kind of downward, straight downward. With 12 gauge usually. Although it might not hurt to use 10 gauge on the neck because he's flying, yeah. Might not be a bad idea. There you go. Well, to make this body a little bit more like this one, I'm going to cut out the neck area and make it like that, just to make sure the neck length measures up real good. Basically all I'm doing is cutting it out. Well, that's pretty close. I may take off some of this edge here. Go through. Well, that's actually pretty good right there. Decided to use 10 gauge instead of 12 gauge because 12 gauge is too wobbly. You know, it's great for like a strutting or something. But yeah, I'm gonna, with his neck, he's gonna be extended out. And you want something that's not so wobbly. So 10 gauge would be perfect. There we are. A little bit of neck material. This is the size neck that's pretty much inside this flying bird. The neck material, you can see how it matches up perfect to the back of the head. Except for a little bit down there, which looks like I could probably use a little bit more neck material to get that to flush in. He's going to be flying to the right because that's where his snoot is. I just figured it's better to have the snoot on the side that he's going to be flying on. So that's kind of what we got going on. Now we just thread this guy up as good as we can to the middle. Whoops, not too good. Okay. That's pretty darn good right there. Now we can get a little super glue and put it there, and this naked material will never move. Grab a little super glue. Put some on the body itself, or on the wire. It's not going to move. Well, since I already don't have my original body, I'm going to try to make this body look like this as close as possible, I guess. So, putting a little place for the legs. There we are, we got our legs just like that one, for the most part. Okay, although this isn't the same body, it's a little bit bigger, which is what we need because the body was actually a little bit bigger than what this is. But you can see I carved out a place for the neck. Got a place for the wings where they're going in. Carved out even a place where the legs are going to be. All of this is going to be flying. But it gives me a little bit of symmetry, so I know where everything goes. But now it's good enough, definitely good enough for flying. So we're going to get started. Okay, for my flying turkey mount, I went ahead and got 2 pieces of wire, 1/4 inch thickness, and I put little points on the end. That's going to go through the bird body, but I thought it'd be wise to go ahead and make what it's going to hang to. Basically, all I did was bend the ends in a vise, tapped them in, put a little bit of wood glue in there to kind of hold it where they're not going to try to back out or anything. Put a little hanger on the back that they use for deer forms. Shot some staples, some big, the long ones, you know, that penetrate the wood pretty good. And that should hold. So that's pretty much what I got right here. And then, of course, when I mount my bird, depending on which way he's facing, I'll go like this. Make sure these go through the form real easy. Bend the ends. And then pull back on the form. Make sure these anchor into the form real good. And this is for a flying bird. And then this is what's going to hang on the wall. So that's basically what I got. You know, anybody can do it. I just figured I'd do it ahead of time so I don't have to worry about doing it while the bird is, you know, mounted or getting mounted. Yes, this is going to be a flying bird, and you're not going to be having a lot of weight on the legs. I just use 10 gauge, just like I would on the wings. I use the same thing on the legs because he's just going to be flying. Okay, what we got to do here, or what I like to do, I like to go ahead. I know I want the bird really soaring, so I get up here. . I got a little bit of floor wire. And I know this little feather is going to cover, so I won't see any kind of like damage or anything. And so I've got that wing straight out. I'm going to do the same thing to this side. So then bring this out here. Okay, I've been in a little bit, but just got that floor wire. Cut off my excess if I want to. Look at those wings, nice. He's already kind of soaring a little bit. Okay, on this head, it's got a place where the main necking material goes. And I've got the right girth for that. You know, like right here, I got the right girth. But up here, there's like another little extra spot. And I think I'm going to add a little bit more necking material. I may go a little bit larger than this. But what it is, it's going to make up this part. And what I'm going to do is go right along there. You can see it. And I'll just pin that with some small pins so it don't move, or I can glue it, either one. Well, here's kind of what I got. I kind of got the necking material with my neck. You got this right here, and that's a good matchup with this. So I'll just carve out as much necking material as I need to carve out, and that's going to fit flush. So I'm going to go ahead and anchor him to what he's going to be hanging on for the flying mount. And I know the snoot is on the right side, so he's going to be like this. So I know this is going to be the show side, the side that's going to show. And so what it is, these, I'm going to anchor the bird. These are I'm going to bend them around and go back into the body. And then I'll pull this around. But since this side is not the show side, I'm going to go ahead and find me a halfway mark here. Stick me some pins in. What it's going to do is going to help me find my place to properly put my wire. That's what I'm getting at. Plus I can see the form. So I know where my midway point is. Right here. I'll put another couple of pins right here. Let's see. Put a pin there. Put a pin there. Let's see. A pin or two up here. What it is, I just want my halfway point to be very loose for my sewing. So that's pretty good right there. And this side, see, is all loose where I can go ahead and do my anchor. And if I go straight through, it's still not going to be a bother. So basically what I do is I'm going to go through, come through the other side at about an angle like that. That would be perfect. Scoot this over here a little bit. You know where I want these to penetrate. I kind of like the idea of going like, kind of like on a bird or something. Like going right here. Doesn't hurt to even bending a little. Kind of go in. Let's see, right. That's a good spot right there. Now we got those started, should be able to just, just kind of work it a little bit. A lot of people go ahead and put the wires first. I just saw the opportunity to go ahead and build everything. I knew I was going to run into something like this. And that's pretty well good enough for me. I got the hammer. What is this? It's the claw on the back. I can bend it around. That right here. Hope I can. And the other one the same way. Basically bend these around, make an anchor. Tap it back through the body. Bend those all the way down. Whatever you find that works for you, go ahead and use it. That's for sure. There we are. We just pull them back through. That's going to be plenty good enough bite. Yeah, right-handed. Makes a difference. Well, that'll hold. Now, all you do, sew him up on this side, just like you regularly do. I've already showed you how I sew, so probably ain't gonna have to show you that again, really. Okay, now I'm just gonna sew him up. And of course, if it's a loose fit, you can always stuff some polyfill here and over here. A lot of times I'll do that. When in doubt, fill him out. You want to make sure the neck goes long enough. You know, you don't want a short-necked bird by any means. But whatever you put on one side as far as a polyfill, you know, like if you stuff some in there, stuff the equal amount on this side. Just keep things even. And of course, like with all my birds, you know, I just double thread it. I go through the eye of the needle, tie a couple of knots in the end so it doesn't want to slip, and cut my excess off. And then I start sewing. Got plenty of polyfill here if I need it. I bundled the tail Just like you would on a strutting turkey, you know, you want a good wide fan. Same with flying. I love a good wide fan. I like the wings straight out. I don't like them crooked up. I like it. The soaring pose is just so awesome. It takes up a little bit of room because the wings are spread way out. But you get the true majestic magnificence of the bird by having a soaring pose. And here you just start sewing. Start at the beginning of the incision and keep on sewing. And let's sew. I'm gonna sew probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches, and then put a little bit of polyfill, maybe even in the neck area. You know where the neck comes out of the body. There's a little bit of an area there that would benefit from having a little bit of that polyfill. So you just run this on down. Try not to get no feathers because it's rough. Then I'll go through the loop, you know, that I tied off at the end. It's just simple. I went through it. Yeah, see, when you're double threaded, it makes life a lot easier for tying things off. And now the baseball stitch, under and over. I come up from underneath, up to the top, pull out, make sure my thread is not getting twisted. It's real easy to do though. There we are. Yeah. Thread is real, has an issue with, there we are, there we are. Just like you do a deer head or anything, you go under, up from underneath, about a 1/4 inch apart. When I do a good job sewing, you don't want to skimp on your sewing, that's for sure. Sometimes you can throw a little extra borax down in there. It don't hurt. It's inside the bird. It ain't gonna hurt nothing. And just keep cinching it up. I'm gonna go all the way down to about here, and then we'll stuff a little polyfill, equal amounts of polyfill on both sides, and I'll show you that. If it's a loose fit. If not, don't worry about it, because it's flying turkey anyway. Oh, just wanted to say, where my anchors for these wires go into the body, I glued them real good. I epoxied them real good. There's some good strong glue out there. They're not going to back out. A little polyfill, don't want to get too carried away. Whatever you got on one side, I don't go above the wings. I tend to go right the breast area. Just like I do on a strutting turkey, not always, but you know, if you feel like it. I go about right there, about right in here, right in there, a little bit right in there. And if it's a loose fit, you know, you can do that and take out a little bit, take out some of the looseness a little bit. But whatever you do, don't get carried away and, you know, put too much by any means. So I got 2 equal parts, putting them essentially in the same area, which is right there, about right there, yes. Okay, now I may put a little, not much, I want the neck to stretch. Okay, then, see, I've already swelled it out a little bit. I'll put some right here in the middle. And right there in the middle. Let's see what I got here. Yeah. Perfect, right there. That'll be good enough. You know, if it's real, you can even put some more here, some more there. I don't want to get too carried away with it, but Especially if you wrap your own body, you can do this. And about 2 equal parts. Now I'm about right in here, just below the wing. And then right in here. Same area on this side. Kind of where the wires went in. But so it's going to be a good fit. A little more right there. Just kind of want to make sure it's a good, you know, kind of a good, filled out real good. This is the underside anyway, and I can even put a little bit more right here, which I probably can. Won't get too carried away with it. See, a lot of times I don't even put no polyfill, and my birds still look okay. Just according to the size of your body and all that stuff kind of comes into play. So, just keep on sewing, and just like you do at Strutting Turkey, or Gobbling, or any of your others, it's the same thing. About 1/4 of an inch apart, somewhere in that range. Get the feathers out of the way. I know you can't see it real good, but you know, to help cut down on, you know, fighting having to pull the feathers back, I'll actually tape the feathers back, exposing the skin, so it's easier to sew and you're not sitting there always trying to move feathers out of the way. Some people wet the feathers and separate them. That's great if it works for you. These little feathers right here are a little bit stubborn. I just tape them out of the way, sew up, and then just pull the tape off. It just, so you're not fighting, constantly pulling the feathers back every time you have to poke through the skin, you know. You know, sew the anus hole up too while you're at it. And I got him sewed up and everything. Guess you could fluff him up a little if you wanted to, since we got him this way. Or you can do it later, because he does have some polyfill right here. And now we're going to hang him up, proportion his wings, card his wings into place, put his head on, make sure his neck's not too long or too short. I just eyeball it pretty good. You can tell by looking. It's, you know, if it looks right, then you're good with it. Prop the tail up while it dries. Okay, now we're just going to start carding him and everything. Okay, now the legs, bend them in. Bend them right there at the elbow. I don't mind them being, you know, up like this. And then this one bends. You can't really see it because of the tail. But I like them up against the body. A lot of times I don't do much with them. But it's not wrong to have them, you see in reference pictures, you see them curled up like this. So it's not wrong to have them curled up, you know, kind of like this. But I have just left them open. Good to me both ways. Some bolt cutters. Could have done this first. But I'm thinking sometimes when you bend the legs, it sucks up a little bit of wire. So you wouldn't want to, you know, maybe cut off too much. And I like the legs kind of close together. And you don't really see the legs anyway. But I like them I like them mashed up against the body. Yeah, it really looks good. There you go. Is I got something for the tail to prop on. I'm gonna level the tail out. My main objective is gonna be to level him out. You know, symmetry. I want these main feathers up on top where they need to be, and they are. Once I prop this up, it'll be in good shape. The head, still debating on the length pretty much. Okay, but the neck is going to turn. I want the neck almost even. You know, a lot of birds will do that. They'll, even if they fly sideways, sometimes the neck is still straight. That'd be a little bit too far out. Yeah, I'm gonna cut probably about half of this off, and that'll just fit right up in there. And it's gonna be about like that. I want the head even with the wings. You know, perpendicular is the right word. Symmetry is everything on these flying mounts. You want it to look right. The head's gonna be even with the wings, about right here. The tail is gonna be even with the wings. Everything's going to look symmetrical. You got to proportion it and then just let it dry. That's all you got to do. Okay, I kind of dug out a little bit in the back here. You know, we can always cut more off if we need to. A little bit curious what it's going to look like. Gonna have to whittle down a little bit of this neck right here. Not much. It's actually more of this down here, actually. Very little. I mean, just very little. Good. Oh, yeah. Yeah, center it right there. Probably have to even shorten it a little bit more. But what a fit. Wow. See, and then this is going to go up here. That down here is going to go up here. It's a little bit of stretch, so I think it's going to have to be a little bit shorter. I like to eyeball things a little bit, so I'll put a pin in the end here. Just kind of get an idea what I'm looking at. I kind of like it. I think that's what I'm going to go with. I've seen people make necks too short. That don't look very good either. It pulls up real nice. It really does. Just like you do on a strutting turkey or anything else. You get those little push pins. So we've got a little bit of a stretch there, looks like. Well, let's see what we can do here. We'll get up under the skin, see what we can push up. Oh, look at that. Of course, that's the pin that's ruffling the feathers right there a little bit. Let's see what that looks like. I kind of think that's what I'm going to go with. It's pretty symmetrical with the wings. So you know it was? Just kind of eyeballed it. I can actually take those down where they're not so, I guess, up so much. So that's the only problem with like putting too much of the polyfill or whatever. You can have that. But yeah, he's not going to be shrinking anyway. He's going to be full flight. So we're not going to worry about pushing the head in closer to the body. This is going to go in just up under these secondaries. And you won't even see these last feathers. They're going to be under the secondary feathers. And that tail's got to be straight. These are for the legs right here. Those feathers right there. They need to be underneath. They're not even supposed to be up here. Got these little things made. All it is pieces of cardboard that I get my forms in. And got a piece of, this is 10 gauge wire with points on the end. And I just stapled and glued a piece of cardboard. I doubled it. I use this a lot. This is probably about 10 years old. I just reuse my stuff. But all it is cardboard, 10 gauge wire bent into a U with points on the end. So it'll push down into the back of the butt. And what it is the tail will ride on that until it dries. And this is for a smaller bird. You can make them for anything, but yeah, for like grouse and pheasant, that's what this one's for. And they just use them over and over and over again. Before I even put the tail up, I'm going to go ahead and get these secondaries riding under these back feathers. And so I got this proportion right along the back. That's the way I want it. Yep. And what I'm going to do is get some 12 gauge wire, just like I do on a strutting turkey. Get a little 12 gauge wire, run it right here where these back feathers end, run some wire, make it go out, make it go straight. It's going to, what it'll do, the purpose is, it's going to lift the back of the feathers up like that. And then I'm going to go around and tie it off into this. And I'm going to do the other one the same way. Probably could leave that bend in it. That may come in advantageous actually for that wire. So I'm going to get 2 long pieces of 12 gauge wire, just like I do on the strutting turkey, except this time I'm not, trying to make the wings where they bow out a little bit in the back. They're going to go straight and hold this guy up like this. And then I'm going to card these. He's going to look like $1,000,000. Okay, let's see. He's going to stick in. I'm going to go around. I'm going to go about like that. That'll work. Seems to help. Yeah. So I even noticed these little shoulder pad things. I made sure those are relatively even. They're a little bit off, but pretty darn close. Okay, put a little point on the end of this so it'll go into the body. Good pair of bolt cutters comes in handy. Make sure it's plenty long enough. rather have it too long than not long enough, you know. You just go right. Let's see. Here's the tail. That's a good spot right there. Find a little place to get a little leverage. Jab it in as straight as you can. There we are. Huh. I don't think it wasn't even in. I didn't go up high enough. Okay. Okay, here we are. There's some foam. There we are. That is, I could go all the way through. Person could use one long wire and go completely through the form, but I'm not going to do that. And if you need a little bit extra rise, just bend it up and then go around. So you're basically shaping the way the back of the feathers are going to ride. So it's not wrong to, if you want, bend it up like that or something. That's a little bit extreme, but still a little bit extreme. And this is actually going to ride about like that. And that's going to ride about like that. Yeah, these, the back of these secondaries can ride over all this. The only reason this is puffing out is because the tail's hanging. So we'll take care of that here in a second also. So I'll just make sure I got a edge on this. Cut me out another piece for the other side. Make sure it's the same length. Yeah, this is 12 gauge. That'll work. Cut it about right here. Okay, here I got a point on the end. Same thing, you just right here. Find you some of that form. And go into it. Plenty. Okay. now's a good time to if you want to help the see, we're going to card these, and the cardboard itself is going to pin up over these feathers. So that's how that helps. Yeah, that's a little bit too much bow, I think. For me it is. Just take out some of it. Okay. Alright. I don't want too much flapping in the wings. I just want to basically the soaring pose. So I don't want a whole lot of bow in it, I guess is the right word. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. I want this to ride up like that. Just like this. And I can see why some would just as soon take the tail off. I can see that. Okay. Let's see. That's a little bit too much. Luckily, this is just wire and it should be able to bend. Right? And it's just wire. Should be able to bend. Okay, oh shit. Okay, let's try this again. Okay. Okay. Now, those are up like that. This so much loose skin, it is grabby. Wow. There we are. Needs to be just like this. And then into the form. Luckily, should be able to grab up here. Okay, let's see what we got. All this is up here. Oh. That's still doing that though. There we are. Now, okay, now let's see what it does. Yeah. Okay, that rides like that. I have to throw some pins on it to hold it. Okay, hold this thing in place. If that's what we want, right? there's our symmetry. Okay. Probably even staple it if I wanted to, but I ain't gonna do that. No need. Put one there. Try not to go through any of the quills. Put one there. Maybe one right here. There we are. You preen these feathers at the end, you'd be surprised how much you can take the gaps out of some of those feathers. Well, I'm going to go ahead and glue the head on too while I'm at it. And I'll put glue right on here. That'll also keep this neck from trying to come out. It's already tried to come out a couple of times. Well, there's kind of a pre-fit. Although the bird's flying sideways, I kind of want the bird, you know, with his neck about almost even with the floor. I think that really looks neat. You know, maybe a little bit of an angle, maybe something like that. That'd be fine. But now we're going to go ahead and glue it on. I guess any kind of glue would work. And it's usually kind of rare that I can get it where it'll fit inside there without having to cut all this stuff out. Like on my strutting turkeys, I cut all this stuff out and go all the way up into here. And that necking material that I use will go all the way up in like back up in here on the strutting. But it just so happens that I just kind of looked out and had the right kind of necking material, and so I'm going to go with it and use it. Okay, this stuff seems like it wants to dry sort of quick, so I got to be kind of fast with it. But I'll put some here in the wattle area, and then some right on the thing itself. Put that back like that, and should be a real easy fit, should be. Well, that'll work for me. And now we'll just pin everything like it needs to go. Watch out for spider webs. When I say spider webs, I'm meaning, you know, look at what an easy fit. That's a good fit right there. And so that'll work. Okay, got some like pretty small little push pins. Or straight pins, I guess you call them. Just all around that incision. I will flush up. Push these pins all the way in. No, you don't want anything showing that's not supposed to show, in other words. So right here on this side, you know, maybe 1/4 of an inch apart or something like that. You know, just I'll kind of let you be the judge of that. And you just push them in. Use some kind of pin pusher to kind of bury the head down in there. You just go all the way around and make it look uniform. There's another one right here. Another advantage of the necking material, though, if you decide to just use that, it's a lot softer. You can bury those pins a lot easier. Although you can still bury them in this hard foam, but Can even tuck a little bit. Wow. Check that out. Then use the pins to reinforce. You go all the way around under the wattles, everything. These are good short pins, so they're not going to go through the neck completely. You don't have to worry about, you know, accidentally poking yourself. You just go all the way around. You spend the time to do it right and go all the way around with it like that. Just like you do any other turkey. Yeah, there's a little place right here. You see it where it's kind of cleared away. Fortunately, there's so much slack that you can actually tuck it and it'll hold. Then just throw some pins for some extra support and you're good to go. I think I'll put one right there. I'll probably put one right here. And you know, it's a little bit of a tight fit in there. It's going to clamp down on it and hold it anyway. But since you got the pins, go ahead and cinch it up a little bit. Make sure it's in there real good, and it is. And that, my friends, is not going anywhere. I think I already put a pin right there, but let me make sure. I think on this bird it was like 3/4 inch or no 1 inch necking material. It wasn't, or 1 1/4, something like that. Every bird's a little bit different. It's not a big bird either. I've also got a pin in here, kind of like help pull up some of this, you know, some of the feathers and get them to do like you want them to do. And you know, if you have to, you can, it's just a big old pin's what it is. And see, that kind of helps a little bit. Maybe a little too much, hold on. Yeah, about like, yeah, right there. That's about as good as that's gonna get. I can throw some tape on there if I don't like the way these are doing. Get them to do like you kind of want them. just like on a strut turkey, every feather has its place, you know. So you kind of want to keep your alignment going, pretty much. Now we're going to start carding and taping and get the feathers to do like we want them to do. Let's see. Touch about right down the middle. Remember correctly, yeah, what this does, this is going to ride on top of that wire. Not the main wire, but the other wire. One's going to ride up underneath. And it's going to go about right here. And I'm going to pin it into the body. That way I can have control over what these feathers do. And it's going to control all these other feathers too. And it's got to ride, for the most part, it's going to ride on that 12 gauge wire. But I want it to be more towards the outer extremity, so I have a little bit more control over my carding and stuff. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, right here even. That's fine. There we are. Still, at least in the back, I want it to come up. And so that's perfect. That's what we got on this side. I could probably staple these, and that would be great. I think that's what I'll do. Oh, I forgot to mention, yeah, you've got smaller feathers, like right here, that will easily go into that cardboard that we got back behind there. Let's see what we got going on here. Oh, we got a bunch of them. Let's see, this way, at least we can see what they look like, what's going on. Make sure everything's uniform. So I'm going to put them up above this cardboard here so I can see what we got going on here. I think I got them all up. Yeah. I want a little bit of symmetry, so actually the symmetry looks pretty darn good. Let's see, we can put something right there. See, these feathers go over each other though, right? I think they're, maybe they don't, maybe they go like that, okay. The next one rides over it. That's the middle one. Okay. This one goes over that. These go over that. Yeah, not much pinning required really. Maybe a little spread these out just a hair. Let's see, that one. I'm gonna go there. Let's see. Plus these primaries are gonna cover a lot of what's going on here, so. But since I got the cardboard, right? Now they're not gonna interfere. And it wouldn't hurt to tape that. I mean, the feathers look good. I'm gonna go ahead and tape these because they look really good. You know, just kind of mat everything down. Everything's in place. I may have to throw some cardboard on there. That's what I'll do. Throw cardboard. I've got cardboard underneath. That's what I'll do. It's much better than tape. Well, I'm just going to card everything and flatten it out. Don't want those feathers buckling up. Yeah, if they can be going, you know, straight on there. Here's kind of what I got going on. Uh-oh. Okay. Hope you can see this. I think you can. This is kind of going to hold the cardboard. Pretty good masking tape. It's pretty stout. Probably go around, probably here at about where it starts to bend. Yeah, about right there. There we are. Now I get my cardboard, which I've got extra wide on purpose, because I want to be able to do what I gotta do. I'm going to go straight up to the body like this, and I'm going to do like this, I'm going to do like that, Which is how I done one the last time, so I'm gonna try to see if I can't do this one the same way. And these little feathers right here, they can sure fluff up right there on the back. What I'll do is I'll get a pin, stick that right through there. Actually, the tape ought to be holding it anyway. I think it will. I think the tape will hold it. Now I can put some separate stuff right here to hold that. That's kind of what I got going on. That's my idea. That's what I'm kind of hoping for. And I'll do the same thing to the other side. Whoops. Perfect. That'll work right there. Okay, I think it's pretty good. It'll work. Now, I'd use this cardboard as good as I possibly can to, you don't want no gap showing in between here. So you definitely want to get that as good as you can. Probably wouldn't even hurt to put a pin down in there. On both sides, actually. Go straight into the body with it. Anything that's extra support, you know. Take the big ones out as far as I can. Let's see, that'll go to here. We can pretty it up here a little bit. these feathers up. It does a pretty good job by itself. You see how they just kind of naturally space themselves out anyway. So it looks pretty good. Now you can take out a lot of separations on these feathers just by rolling your finger across there. See how I'm smoothing them out? And just getting them back together. You can do the same thing with a needle. So you make those look a lot better just by using your fingers. Okay, I stapled 2 pieces of cardboard together. I just want to take care of some of them smaller feathers. Yeah, there should be the body right here. Yeah, there's the body. I'm in it. Now this should pull up. There we are. Should be able to get these feathers to do exactly what I want them to do. You know, pin them and then just take care of stuff like that a little bit if I can. Not that big of a deal. Let's see, that one will see what we got going on here. Okay, we got that can go there, right here. Took care of one of them. Yeah, just that one. Okay. And that one. Okay. See what else we got here. Well, that's it. Except for some super small things that I am not going to worry about. Okay. Since those are kind of holding, well, it was. There we are. No, it's not holding now. Let's see. There we are. Okay, it'll hold. There we are. It'll hold now. Flatten it out pretty good. The rest of it I'm not worried about. You got these. These can go right here. This can fluff over it. And that's what we got right there. You know, I'm probably going to throw some tape on there. Bring it out real good. Just keep working on it. That's what you got to do. Okay, these can, well, that's a little bit too much. Kind of helps. This can kind of flop over a little bit like that. Just don't want no gaps in those wings or anything. Okay, yeah, if you got everything like how you want it, just make sure these feathers are doing exactly like you want them to do. You either pin them to that cardboard underneath or tape them, or both, for that matter. Yeah, that feather's got to go about like that. These primaries is going to have to be carded with something a little bit more durable to kind of force them to do what they need to do. Okay. Alright, that's pretty much it for that. stapled ends on this too. No, that's not the best spot. Here ought to be fairly good. Let's see what I can do here. That'll work. Now, just pin it together. It'll cinch it down, flatten it down good enough. I wouldn't use staples, that's for sure. I don't think I would use staples at all. The goal is just to flatten those feathers out where they don't buckle. They kind of naturally buckle a little bit. That's kind of what I'm not wanting. And you know, it's still not perfect, but it helps. It does help. And you can put, you know, multiple pins to, you know, really, you know, send that flatness home, you know, to really get it, you know, like how you want it. Throw more pins in there. The more the better. It'll flatten it out. Well, you've heard the saying, the more the merrier. Flatten that booger out. The more pins, the flatter it'll be. It has just enough resistance, you know, when you put these pins in, that it'll flatten it out. Especially if you put more than, like say, average. Yeah, it'll really get the job done. I got one right here on the end even. There you go. And I'll do that one the same way. The other wing. Same thing on this one. Just flatten them boogers out. And on this, overkill is better. It flattens them out real good. That's what you want. There's just enough resistance that it really helps. So the more pins you get, I guess the more resistance you get. I guess that's the right way to say it. Oh gosh. Let's see. Yes. Yeah, it's a little better. That can go down a little. This one can go down. Yeah. That's better. That's more like it. Okay, that'll work. There we are. All right. I'm not going to use that knife. I could flatten some of this stuff out though. It's standing pretty tall. There we are. There we are. Yeah, especially up here, like right here towards the front, really doing a lot of bending. This one, for some reason, got a little bit of a bump there. I may do it again right there. Just to flatten everything out like it needs to be flat. Yeah, even down here, they were uneven. Flattening bad boys out. Just like you do anything else you want to get flat, you just card it. Now, a lot of stuff don't require this much carding. A lot of birds don't. Just, you gotta do whatever you gotta do to make him look right. Whatever you gotta do to make him look right. Other side looks pretty good, but I may do it, since I've done one side, I may do the other. I guess we could go all the way with it. Even the stuff we taped earlier has a little bit of a buckle to it. If you want to really flatten them out. Remember, we got cardboard underneath that's taped to the 12 gauge wire that we used. Now's a good time as any. Although we taped it, it has less of a buckle if you card it, so feel free to card if you so desire. That's what it's for. Oh, it's really flattened everything out. Sure has. Flattens everything. Wow, that does. It flattens it. Flattens everything out. And we can do the other side the same way. Yeah, it's all been carded anyway, so we can flatten everything out, throwing some cardboard on it. Let it do its thing. Wow, it sure flattens everything out. Oh, sure flattens everything out. Sure does. There's a little bit of a gap there, a little bit of a gap there. I don't know. Just card it as good as you can, and then let it dry. Yeah, pretty much anything, any place where a feather was buckling up, I taped it down, flattened it down, either using cardboard or tape. Now you just let him dry, take everything off, paint the legs, let him go. oh, I guess maybe 2 weeks later. Maybe even a little bit longer. Here's where putting a 10 gauge wire for neck instead of 12 like you do on a strutting really comes into effect. I mean, it's a good thing I did that. And here again, tear off as quick as you can with the feathers to minimize any damage that might occur. You might lose a feather or two, but it's going to be so minimal that it's not going to amount to much, is what I'm getting at. Just find the most strategic way. Lost a couple feathers. It's usually so minute, and it's usually a broke feather anyway. Maybe one that was broke or something. But this is just general masking tape. The faster, the better, actually. Seems like the slower you do it, the more the gum wants to stick or something. Now just take all your pins out and like this, and all the pins holding your cardboard. Get all your cardboard off, pull all your pins out. Make sure you're sturdy on the wall so you don't slide or anything. And your cardboard slides off, and you can even reuse it. I do that a lot, especially if I've got multiple turkeys to mount. Reuse the pins and reuse the cardboard. Okay, I just wanted to reiterate. Notice how the back of the feathers go along the back? Well, when I put in my support wire for the wings, not just the wings, but the back of the wings, the feathers, so they don't like lay down, I used 12 gauge wire, just like you would on a strutting turkey. And I went in, just like on a strutting turkey, right below these main back feathers. You know, there's some downy feathers, and then you start on the belly feathers. Well, there's that little place right there where it's not really feathers like here. It's more the downy type feathers. Well, just below where the big feathers start, I put my wires in. Then I actually bent around the body just a hair bit, you know, to raise the wire up. And then I went out and around. I could even have went straight through the bird if I'm good enough and then go in through both sides with one long piece of wire, but I didn't do that. I used two separate pieces of wire. I went in below the main feather line, and so these back feathers will ride along the back. I bent the feathers up to support the feathers where they're up and where they flow evenly off the back, if that makes any sense. Just like I would any other bird, you know, that I want the secondary feathers to ride up on the back as opposed to sinking down. So I went around the bird a little bit, went up and around the back of the bird where the main feathers start. Then I went around. A little confusing, but what it did, it jacked up these secondary feathers where they flush up over the back of the bird and give it a more natural flying appearance. Okay, all my pins are out, and I should be able just to pull this out and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Piece of cake. I didn't put them in so deep that I can't get them out either. I've learned the hard way on that. You can see right here, this was in the body, and then I went up so this cardboard would catch above the back of the feathers. Then the secondary feathers rode on this piece of cardboard, which was taped with a piece of wire to the back of it. So you can kind of see this was my support system for the secondary feathers. So it had an easy transition, you know, a nice flowing look off the back. And so I did both sides that way. And these wires that went through the wing, bend it down so you can get a good bite with a pair of your bolt cutters. Get as close to the wing as possible. It's going to be underneath anyhow. Get as close to the wing and possible, and then of course you have feathers, it'll cover up any wire that might still be showing. Plus it's underneath. Got a little piece of, well, in this case I just use floor wire. I'll use string or anything I can get a hold of. And what I'm getting at is, this is what I use to tie off the support wire. The 12 gauge support wire that I use for the secondary feathers. I wrapped them around, and in some cases I didn't, but this time I just tied it off to the 10 gauge wire coming through the wing, and it's just extra support for the support wire. Now take out the support for the tail. I had some pins in it, but I definitely didn't shoot most staples in it because I plan on reusing this guy. But at the same time, if you wanted to leave it like for extra support during transport, there's nothing saying you can't leave it in there. You know, and then just make you another one. Okay. Now you can put some wires in here and go up by the tail and then jab into the body. But I like the idea of just taking the tail off, bondoing it back on, and you don't have to worry about you know, a lot of the other stuff that's involved. So I just find where the tail is connected and cut it off. What we're going to do, we're going to bondo it on. It's a lot less headache that way. Okay, got a little bondo here. You can use one piece of wire and bend it around, but I got a couple of wires. The bondo's going to be plenty strong enough to hold it. So I just got me some hardener. Put me a decent amount, so you don't have to wait around too long. And you know the drill. Just get your bondo and mix it up real good. Probably got a little bit more than I need, but that's better than not having enough, you know. I've got a little bondo on there anyway from where I done the quills, but if you didn't, You just put the wires right on the quills, get your little Bondo, go over the quills and the wire, and get it to stick that way. Just like on a strutting turkey, you know how you loop it around and you come down and then come up this way where it'll hook into the form. But on a flying bird, I'm just going to go straight out without any bend, you know, so the tail goes straight out. So that's kind of the difference I've got. And just be a little bit neat with it and get it up in there real good. Yeah, just make believe I didn't Bondo it all, and you got to put a thin layer over the quills. And, you know, you'll be in good shape. Just make sure you got plenty in there. And you got one right here that goes in, takes it as far as it'll go, and then take this one as far as it'll go. Okay, well, let's see, let's try going in with this one first. Then this one. Make sure it's good and even and completely filled up on both sides there. With as much hold power as you can get. I think that's pretty good already. That's pretty darn good. Now you just let it dry. Smoothing it off real good. Snip off any stuff sticking out. Okay, we got this. And, oh, he's set up nicely. Well, I'm going to go ahead, since I got him undone, and I know he's relatively dry enough, I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of the situation and get these staples and cardboard out, because I don't need it. I just got my staple puller, getting under there, getting them out. My staple puller and my tape. Okay, we got some tape here. We just yank it off as faster the better. Okay, got my tail. Got a little bit of glue on it. just kind of help hold it in place. I go to my location where I'm at and make sure everything is where it needs to be. Then just push into the form. Make sure the feathers are up on top, and just going to keep pushing. Okay, that's good. Now we have an installed tail, and the secondaries are rubbing right up against it. It's in good shape. Okay, now you can preen and bring a lot of these feathers together, and make sure they're overlapping the right way. You can bring a lot of these together. Spread them out as far as they'll spread and get rid of some of the gaps. I've got a pin here too that helps. A lot of times you got damage, you know, shot damage. You can only do what you can do, but sometimes you can use your fingers and bring all this stuff together. Get rid of those gaps. They're not so bad. You'd be surprised what you can do. So that's coming out. Separating those little split ends a little bit. Either get rid of them completely, or you can at least get them down where they're not noticeable. Look at that. Of course, some you can't help with. You know, like right here's a shot. I can see where some shot went through, took a piece of feather off. But even these ends, you can straighten them up a little bit. Get a couple of fingers on it and pull straight out, and it'll straighten them up a little. It'll help anyway. And you do your whole bird that way. The wings, everything, you know, I think I showed you earlier. You can bring all that stuff together with your fingers. Just take out the gaps, or at least make them not as noticeable. It's called preening. And it'll make an overall difference to your mount. Oh yeah, on my flying birds, a lot of times I'll run as far as I can with the wings, or with the wire through the wings. I'll even go as far as I can up towards the primaries even. You know that last joint right there that holds your primary feathers? I'll even run through that and go straight. And then, well, yeah, I tied off this first primary. I actually tied it to the wire to get a good spread, have a good soaring pose. But on a strutting turkey, a lot of times I don't even go through that last bit, because, I mean, you can with wire, but you got to cut the wire off. But, yeah, if you don't go through it, it's not going to hurt, because on a strutting or a gobbling turkey, you know how the wings go back? It's this part right here, the very end right here, these primaries, they bend like this, and that sends the primaries back this way. And that's good for your strutting and your gobbling turkeys. That's how you get your wings to go back real good. Basically, it goes like this, that way, then you got your end right here going back this way, going like this. That gets your primaries going back. And all this, you can kind of loop it, bundle it together a little bit and have your primaries spread out. That's your strutting and your gobbling turkey. Okay, make sure you paint the legs, tape him off, and use cardboard, to cut down on the overspray. Use cardboard with one hand, and then tape, to control overspray. Usually I'll go flesh, then gill red, then I may throw some pearl over that gill red. Sometimes I see pearl, and so I'll incorporate that in there. And then rich brown, and then dark brown. And try not to use overspray, or I try not to put too much paint. You can actually take away by using too much paint, so just be careful of that. Oh yeah, you see places like where there's a little bit of unruly feathers? Feel free to snip them off, to kind of clean things up a little bit and make them look better. If you see a place where downy feathers are sticking out or something, yeah, you can definitely, pretty them up a little bit. Just get in there and snip them off and neaten him up, but he looks pretty good.